Still ahead here on Good Morning Arizona, toys are an important part of childhood, but for kids with disabilities, a lot of toys can be hard to play with. Up next, how a nonprofit is doing something good, working to change that. Thank you, Gina. Well, we all know that, toys are obviously so important for kids, right? They're not just fun, but they're also really educational. Unfortunately, for kids with disabilities, a lot of these toys aren't easy to play with or to use. And that's why a nonprofit is doing something good to modify toys and make them more accessible. Doesn't that sound fantastic? Joining us this morning to talk about it, a really great event coming up as well, is Matt Levac and also Dr. Christopher Trujillo. Thank you both for being here this morning.
Excited to be here.
Let's talk about, I guess it's something that many people don't think about unless maybe they have a child who can't work with a toy, can't play with a toy. How do you begin with adapting one?
Yeah, it's a great question. So really it takes what seems to be a very scary process, but it's pretty simple. All toys, these plush toys are great, the ones you see at Christmas time, Thanksgiving, all that fun stuff. They have these little switches inside, and all you're really doing is rewiring them. All right, so we get to take the internal wires, we add what we call just kind of a little stereo jack there, and once that wiring's set, there's a little bit of soldering in place, and then it turns into kind of this switch adapted toy, which again allows children who may not have the fine motor skills to come and find the music buttons, right? It allows them to then use a bigger switch, which is where the adaptation comes into play there. And so those bigger switches just allows you to use different parts of your body to access that toy.
Okay.
So if you have a child who loves monkeys, they can use their head, right, to use that toy. We have students in wheelchairs or children in wheelchairs, right? They can use their arms, they can use their feet, and then the toy
no
can
longer
be on
this
them.
if they don't have access to their
So they build cause and effect skills. They're allowed to, kind of play, and again, everyone kind of enjoys those toys. So that's kind of the accessibility portion of it all.
And I can only imagine, aside from bringing joy to a child, right, it just makes them feel like everybody else who's able to play with a toy.
Right. Correct, yeah. And there's a couple different ways. So we try to keep the toy as intact as possible. So again, if, brother, sister wants to play, friends, it's the same kind of way. They have a little bit, we can make these wires shorter and kind of a little bit more discreet. We've done adaptation events where we've put them back in the package, right? So when you're opening it up, it's like you're opening up a brand new toy. So we try to kind of limit the adaptation as much as possible, if needed. But other than that, yeah, it gives the opportunity to play.
Making change. I love that. Dr. Trujillo, this is especially important to you guys because you guys are doing an event over at Midwestern where students will get to do this and give back as well.
That's right. So occupational therapy gives people the tools for life, and our students are learning how to work with people across the age span. So working with youth who have disabilities is extremely important that they learn the hands-on skills needed, not just to work with them independently to help them regain skills, but also to help them engage in their primary occupation or, life activity, which is play.
We all learn through play at any age, at any level, right? I know people are probably watching this, whether they're on the other end of it saying, oh my gosh, I need to find these kind of toys or how to adapt my own toys, or maybe there's someone out there going, I would like to help and give back. How can they get involved?
Yeah, so Makers Making Change is a nonprofit that connects people with that interest and people who use the toys or those kind of, families with a children with disability or an individual with disability. Makers Making Change gives them the resources. Everything's online. You can download 3D printed files. And if you don't have access to the 3D printed files, it gives you resources on where to find people who then have 3D printers. And we'll walk you through adapting toys, again, with today's kind of resources being available. Makers Making Change has their own kind of step-by-step guides. When we work with Dr. Trujillo's class, we have it all broken down step-by-step, and then those students will then learn and kind of can teach them individuals moving forward as well to kind of adapt toys and learn. So there's a lot of resources online that we can use, but Makers Making Change is a great first step.
Reach out to your local occupational therapist and
have them connect.
You partner with Excel, who actually made all the 3D printed.
That's amazing.
So
that's amazing.
Midwestern University, Excel, and Makers Making Change all partnering to help youth who have disabilities.
Thank you so much for doing something good, guys, for our community. This is just fantastic. We'll put all the info as well on azfamily.com. Makers Making Change, Midwestern University. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.